fellas, just going to do a first impressions video of the Diana 56, RWS Diana 56. Wanted to show you guys. At this time they're pretty rare in the US now. I don't think they import them, so only a couple of airgun dealers that I know of have them. One of them is Air Guns of Arizona, and one of them is Straight Shooters. You can find those both online, but just wanted to go over some quick points here. Now the way I have it set up here, I've got a Hawk Sidewinder 30mm, 4.5 to 14 by 42. It's a pretty heavy scope, I think about 25 ounces or so. And then I've got this mag mount, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, but all up this thing weighs 13.4 pounds. So it's an absolute beast. If you want to shoot it offhand, I don't know about you guys, but I can only handle it for a couple of shots, and then then I'm just flat worn out from holding it up. So the next thing I want to talk about is the coating that's on it. Now the coating is, it looks like, in pictures it looks like it's a bluing, but it's not really. It's a powder coat, which is they spray it with plastic powder, charge the whole thing with static electricity first, spray it with plastic powder, and then run it through the oven, and it bakes on there. So theoretically it's a little bit stronger, it's stronger than paint. It doesn't quite run as deep as bluing, but it might actually be a little tougher than bluing. You're not going to leave a rusty fingerprint on it or anything like that. I mentioned the scope before. This is a great scope. It's a little heavy. If you wanted to make it a little easier to shoot offhand, you might want to opt for a lighter weight scope. But that's kind of a conundrum, right? Because you've got this cannon of an air gun that can shoot out to 70 yards with good accuracy, and then the lighter scopes usually don't have enough magnification so that you can get a clear picture at that range. So you'll have to decide, you want to leave it, being 13 pounds, or do you want to have a lighter scope, make it a little bit lighter, and shoot it that way. On the stock here, you can see it's ambidextrous. The comb is raised on both sides, and the palm swells on the grip are ambidextrous also. It swells out here a little bit in the middle, and then on the other side it just makes kind of a little groove for your thumb. So that's pretty nice. The butt pad is adjustable. Just loosen up this flathead screw here, and then you can slide it up or down to your liking. Now one thing I did, I was shooting from the field target position, sitting on the floor and bracing everything on my knees, and I would brace the gun on the floor, and then when I went to grab the lever to cock it, it put some pressure on the butt pad. You can see here, I think I cracked it. Kind of dumb on my part, but if you're going to be bracing it against the floor when you cock it, then make sure that you leave this so it's fully supported by the stock. If you just have it on your leg, then that's fine. As for cocking effort, it's not too bad. I'll show you that right now. I've got a box of Crosman Premier Heavies, which is one of the pellets that shoots pretty well here. And I found the cocking effort is not so much of a problem as it is lifting the gun after every shot. It's pretty muzzle heavy, and like I said, it's 13 pounds, so you take a shot, and then you got to lift it up like this. It doesn't sound like much, but you do it a few dozen times and it starts to get a little bit old. So grab the side lever up here, brace this on your leg or whatever, pull it down. You get to that point, that's about how it would be to cock a 48, but since this is recoilless, the action slides on the stop, you have to pull it down a little bit more. That pushes the action up. Now you're ready to load a pellet. Now some people will say, oh yeah, you always got to keep your arm here over that, but all that latching, it's latched open by the way it's engineered inside, and then there's also the anti-bear trap mechanism. And then there's a button here on the side. I'll do a close-up in a minute. Hold that down, put the lever forward. Safety's right here. It's resettable. You can just push it in, pull it back out, push it in, you're ready to fire. You'll be able to hear what it sounds like too. This focused for 30 yards, so I need to dial it back. Pretty loud. Not terrible or anything, but it's pretty loud. So I'm going to zoom in now and do that another 1 or 2 times so that you guys can actually see it. So grab this up here. And then you're ready to load a pellet. That's what it looks like when you get it open. The breech has slid back here. This is the button to defeat the anti-bear trap mechanism. You can see it going up and down there. That's why I feel confident not having to hold that lever while I load the pellet, because this thing is pretty robust, and in order for my finger to get amputated by this thing, not only would the mechanism inside the gun have to fail, but this would also have to fail. So if that's failing, I'll be able to see it. We take a pellet. You can probably just see the breech of the barrel here. Stick a pellet in there. Get that flush. And then push in the anti-bear trap release. Bring the lever forward. Snaps back against the stock and you're ready to shoot. Back here, I'll give you a close-up of the safety. That's fire. Safe. Maybe I can get a close-up of me shooting it and you can see the action go back in the stock here from the recoil. See that? When the spring goes forward, it tends to make the action recoil back in the stock, but you don't feel anything when you're shooting the gun. You feel a little bit of the spring buzzing at the end of the stroke, but you don't feel the recoil make the gun jump in your hand like you would with most springers. Alright, so again, cocking effort is not too bad. When you stand it up on your leg here and pull down, you can use gravity, and it's not too bad. I wouldn't say that I could cock it all day over and over, but a couple hours, no problem. What makes it a little harder is having to lift it up after every shot. At the end you can see we've got a, I don't know if I want to call it a muzzle brake. It's more like just a weight. There's an end piece that screws on here, but let me fire this shot so I don't keep tension on the spring. I'll show you this barrel weight deal now. So you can see that just screws in. I was hoping to unscrew that and find some baffles or something, but no. Just kind of medium threads. And you can see the end of the barrel right there. So this is just a weight. And then it's held on with a couple of Allen screws on the bottom. So if you wanted to shave a few ounces, especially of the front heaviness, you could take that off too. The stock design I really like. It's actually great. It's very comfortable. The main reason I bought this rifle over the 54 was because of this the thumb hole stock. I figured on a gun this heavy, I'm going to shoot it from the bench more often than not anyway. So this stock design is really conducive for that. It doesn't make you kind of cant your wrist at this forward angle that makes it hurt after a while. That's nice. Also, you can see on the bottom here, that area just forward of the trigger guard here comes down, so that's a place to rest it. Rest it on your knee if you're shooting, from the field target position. You can see it's got nice cut checkering on the bottom here with the Diana name, so that's a good place to rest it. Give you kind of a close-up of the stock here. The TH for thumb hole. You can see the race comb on each side. Checkering there, also very nice. No caps or anything. Trigger's adjustable, but it's nice and light. I haven't messed with it. I probably won't. If there's anything in the way of my shooting, it's definitely not the trigger. More checkering up front. Kind of a nice, elegant angle there at the front. Give you a view of the other side. So that's the main points about the stock are it's a nice comfortable thumb hole design. It's more vertical than the Sporter style, and then the support part in front of the trigger guard. Even when you're shooting offhand, you can see that lets you get your hand low enough that you can brace your elbow against your rib cage there, the way the target shooters do. And then you're not holding up the whole weight of the rifle with your shoulder muscles. You can kind of brace it a little better. Don't get me wrong, it still gets awfully heavy pretty quick, so consider this more of a bench rest gun or a field target gun. The recoilless aspect of this I found to be pretty good. It doesn't seem to be very hold sensitive at all. I shot it a day or two ago at the indoor range at 30 yards and wound up getting groups like just over half an inch, and it's not even broken in yet. I've probably only shot maybe 70 or 80 rounds through it so far, so I expect that to get a little bit better. Now there will be just a little bit of a hold sensitivity because since it's a Springer, the spring coils and uncoils a little bit as you cock it, but you're taking out almost all of the recoil from the forward and backward action, and I think that's a lot more major than the torque recoil. One other thing I wanted to talk about is that there's a mount that you can get from Leapers through Pyramid, and I bought this. I didn't read the red fine print, but it hooks over the front of the scope mounting rail, and it's really not ideal for this gun or any RWS, 48, 52, 54 that has the T6 trigger, because they have a longer scope mounting rail, so it's not really the right length anymore. This is a mag mount, which I ordered online from airscopes.com, and that's really the mount to use here, and I'll show you why. It's an adjustable height mount just in here. I guess my turrets are in the way, but there's an Allen screw that allows the scope to be adjusted for elevation. So that helps in a couple of ways. What you do is you center your scope's elevation turret. What I did is I just turned it all the way to one side and then turned it back and counted the number of turns, and then I centered it just approximately. And what I did was I tried to zero it as close as possible by raising the elevation of the mount. And what that does is it keeps your scope closer to its center where it can resist the recoil a little bit more. And the way this mount works is there's a little pin here. It'll be kind of hard to see, but there's like a half round pin, and that sticks down through and hooks on the front of the rail, the stock rail. So that keeps it from sliding back and forth. And then on the top, it's a Weaver style. So remember to get Weaver rings and not regular 3/8 or 11 millimeter. And Weaver rings tend not to move at all because they're just inherently locked in place. So I've got 2-piece rings and the mag mount, which is height adjustable, and I went with the extended one. So you can see if you have a bigger scope, then that's the way to go. Or if you have a scope that doesn't have a lot of eye relief, that's also the way to go. Now this scope has pretty good eye relief, pretty close to 4 inches, but I still had to use the last notch here, so I recommend the mag mount. I think it's 40. And then I also recommend you use rings that have the caps with 2 screws on each side, just to be able to hold it in place better. Alright, well, that's about all I had. Maybe take one more shot for you and wrap it up. I'll do a full review with more of my comments after I've shot it more extensively, at least 500 pellets, and I can have a feeling that that it's fully broken in and it's not going to get any more accurate. Looking through the scope here, but the target's too close, so I'm just going to eyeball it. Anyway, nice rifle. Ran me about $700. I think you can get it as low as $675 at the time of this video. $695 is more typical, but like I said, there's not that many dealers in the US that have it right now, so you can't be too picky about it. If you want something, if the recoil doesn't bother you and you'd be willing to give up the recoilless mechanism to save some money and weight, then there's the 48, which is a plain stock, and the 52, which is a fancy stock, but is also the regular action. It's the same action, it's just not recoilless like this. Then when you go to the 54, you get a nice Sporter style stock with the typical, you know, grip like this. And then if you want the thumb hole stock, you get the 56. So thanks for watching. Be sure to click like down below if you liked it, and be happy to hear your comments.